Well, hello, lovely listeners and lovely viewers. Today we have something a little different for you. We have returning champions Dave Silver and Tom Bitcoin. Dave and Tom have both already been very, very popular guests on this podcast. Dave is a monetary historian with a love and expertise in silver and promissory notes. And Tom, a much more recent guest, is an economic historian and producer of the well-known documentary Silverfish, which blows the lid on why 2020 happened 5 years early and how the real Bitcoin is set to explode in 2025. And the reason I've got both of these wonderful guys on today is because they have a respect for each other, but they also have a difference of opinion in certain things. And so a conversation happened after Tom's podcast went live. And it was actually Tom's suggestion for them both to come on and have this discussion, which I'm really excited about. And because both of their podcasts were so well received in different areas, I think it's going to be a really, really informative. Because let's be honest, the world that we're in right now, nobody knows what the bloody truth is anyway. Everything's inverted, perverted, etc., etc. And some people, I've gone down the promissory note route. I've got silver. I know I've got a bit of crypto. And after Tom's podcast, I'm like, right, okay, need to do something about that. And I'm not a crypto expert by any stretch of the imagination. Tom obviously is very, very knowledgeable in all of that. So I think for anyone listening and watching right now who are, they are confused. Like some of the comments I had, people that reached out after the Tom podcast, one guy said he's literally put all his eggs into the fake Bitcoin and is now panicking. So anyway, I've shared some details, and he's going to look into it himself, etc. So there is a lot of confusion. There's a lot of misinformation, and I am very hopeful that today's conversation is going to land differently for different people, but it's going to give us all some clarity at where we're at. So welcome, Dave, and welcome, Tom.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Bill.
It's great to have you, and thanks for your patience. We were booked in to do this yesterday, but I have come down with the lurgy again, and all I'm going to say is fog. That's all I'm going to say. People that know will know, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I asked both Dave and Tom to share just a couple of sentences with me as to their perspective, and I'm going to read those out now. So this was Dave's. Dave has a lot of respect for Tom's knowledge, but where he disagreed is that he doesn't like any digital illusions of wealth. He thinks real silver bullion grams in your own possession is better than any digital illusions. He also thinks that crypto mining is unsustainable from 2 points of view. One, the hardware needs replacing once it becomes obsolete. And two, the energy consumption is now growing to such an extent that demand will be more than supply. So that's Dave's viewpoint. And then Tom basically said Bitcoin is one of, if not the most efficient digital networks on Earth. It can process and store all the world's digital content and records for a fraction of what it costs at the moment. So as you can see, there's quite a disparity there. And I think we talked off air, and I think Dave's going to go first and put his knowledge and viewpoint across, and then it's going to be over to Tom. So, Dave, I hand the mic to you, my friend.
Well, thanks, Mel. Thanks for having us on. And first of all, I just want to say to Tom that I really loved Silverfish. I watched it the other day, and I agreed with everything. It was brilliant. So I really recommend everyone watch Silverfish. It was very well put together.
Oh, thanks very
And I
much.
think yeah, you're welcome. What I think we'd agree on, Tom, is that the current system we're using, I talk about fiat, pounds, dollars, euros, yen, and the central bank system is unsustainable, isn't it? We'd agree on that.
Well, it's fraud, so it's like a Ponzi scheme.
Or
It's going to collapse. It has to.
exactly, it's a Ponzi scheme, it's a pyramid scheme. It has to keep expanding, and it is unsustainable by definition. It will not be sustained. So the question is, what comes next? What is the best form of medium of exchange after the current system goes? I feel that all digital illusions of wealth are all on this side. All the fiat pounds, dollars, yen, euros, they're all on this side, and all the cryptos, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, all digital illusions, well, all on this side. And on this side, you've got gold and silver. You know, I've got some silver grams here. That's on this side. I think this is money, money in and of itself. Everything on this side is just currency. I feel all digital illusions of wealth or paper illusions of wealth, promissory notes, cash, or digital promissory notes, they are just currency. Currency always goes to its true value of zero. There's only two things through history that have been money in and of themselves, and that's gold and silver. So I feel gold and silver will do an accounting for everything on this side. At this side, the supply keeps expanding exponentially, and it will keep expanding until it all collapses. And then I do feel like it's unsustainable. Any digital illusion of wealth that needs hardware, computer hardware, and needs energy, that they both need to keep expanding. And all that hardware is discarded, thrown away. And incidentally, it's all got silver in it, isn't it? We know pretty much everything electrical uses silver in all the electrical connections and the circuit boards and chips. And I used to be a Bitcoin miner, and all my equipment's thrown away now. And people I know carried on Bitcoin mining after me. All their equipment with silver in it, it's all discarded. It's uneconomical to retrieve at the moment until silver goes up a long way. And the power consumption. So power consumption in two aspects. Power consumption from hardware has to need more and more powerful hardware. The old one gets discarded. And power consumption from electricity. Humanity has a greater need for electricity now than there is supply. They need to build a lot more nuclear power stations, a lot more solar farms, a lot more wind, water generation, and try and get away from coal, natural gas, and oil, which is really damaging the earth. But they all are damaging the earth. But nuclear needs a lot of silver. The silver control rods, for anyone who doesn't know, they're 80% silver and need a lot of these nuclear control rods, 30,000 ounces in each one. It lasts for 5 years and then it's discarded. It's radioactive waste, radioactive for 10,000 years or something. And that's been going on since the 1950s using that silver. So nuclear is not the answer. Solar uses even more silver than nuclear. And I feel that all digital illusions of wealth are using so much electricity. People are annoyed that their electric prices are going up, electricity prices, their bills are going up, utility bills, cost of taking the tube, the train to work, that's going up. And that's why everyone's saying, just stop Bitcoin, just stop digital illusions of wealth. We don't need it. Let's go back to real, honest, truly decentralized money, which is silver and gold. Over to you, Tom.
Yeah, great stuff. Good intro there. Yeah, so I'll first distinguish the difference between money and currency. So money has to be a commodity because it has to have common value, because you only need money when a third party comes into trade and an economy is created. Because if there's just two of you, you can barter, you can swap like for like. But as soon as a third person or third party comes into trade, you need something that has common value between the three of you. And the only item in the economy that has common value is a commodity, hence it's in the name. So the word commodity is an amalgamation of three words. It's first of all something that's common, that's then been itemized and then identified so that you can lay claim on a common item, but it's uniquely identified to you. So you can actually see it in the word commo, common, IT, item, and then DITY, identify. So a commodity is a common item identified. Now, when you're using it as a medium of exchange, a medium of exchange is actually an economic tool. And it's a tool that enables, encourages, and accelerates the facilitation of trade. Now, because it's a tool, it means that it's economically competitive to all these other mediums. So what will happen is over time, these mediums of exchange will outcompete one another until you just get one that everybody settles on. So what happens is when a commodity monopolizes a market due to its ability to be used as a medium of exchange, it becomes a monopoly commodity. And that's where the word money comes from. Mon being the singular, y being the commodity. So a monopoly commodity is money. That's what money is. So if you want to know what the most valuable money is going to be, all you have to do is commoditize the most useful resource. And the most useful resource is digital data because you can pass it and send it around as fast as and as efficient as light. So with currency is actually a security. and a security is issued. It's issued by a higher authority that has the power to back up the securitized claim. So you have somebody issuing securities, and a security is one step removed from the item it grants you, securitized access to. So a token gives you access to, an arcade. Ticket gives you, secures your entrance to a concert. A wristband secures your entitlement to enter a festival. A ticket entitles you to go on a train, and then you've got title deeds that secures your entitlement to land. Share certificates, entitle you secure your entitlement to a dividend and stuff like that. So they are issued. So when a security actually starts being used as a medium of exchange within a closed economic area or private community where that authority has the power to back up your claim, it becomes a circulating security. And amalgamating those two words is a bit difficult, but a current flows and circulates. So a circulating security is currency. So it's currency that is meant to exchange and transfer the value of the claim on the money. But if you remove money from currency, Nixon shock, 15th of August 1971, that's when you end up with securities fraud. Which is what we're using now. So what I'm trying to explain to people is, how do you commoditize data? Well, in order to commoditize data, you have to make sure there is no central point of control and also no central point of failure. There has to be no central point anywhere. So the issue with a digital network is the starting point, because someone somewhere had to start it. And if anyone starts it, then it's a securitized network. So the genius of Satoshi Nakamoto is what he did. He added commonality to the starting point by providing a common, reasonable, and equal opportunity for anyone and everyone to start the network themselves. So in the same way that gold was in the ground waiting to be discovered by someone, because someone discovered gold, they had to have done it. Someone had to start the Bitcoin network. So how do you make that fair? Well, a reasonable amount of time in law is considered 2 months. So he knew that he had to provide a reasonable opportunity, which is 2 months, for anyone and everyone to start the network, which is why he released the white paper on the 31st of October. And then rather than just simply posting it to his local supermarket blog where nobody would have understood the significance of SHA-256 or private and public keys, a hash function, or anything like that, he posted it to a cryptographic mailing list where everybody on there would have been very proficient and knowledgeable on the information that the paper contained. So in other words, he released it to the group of people who would have a fair competition, really, because they're the only people that would have really understood the significance of the information that was in the paper. So he posted it on the 31st of October, again, which was Halloween, so an added distraction, but that doesn't take away from the fact that 2 months was provided. And the reason he posted it on Halloween, as I was telling Mel, is because Halloween is an added distraction, and the two busiest months of the year are the festive period, which is November and December. So released on the 31st of October, and then waited until the 3rd of January 2009, and then started the network himself. So that means you now have a common starting point rather than a securitized starting point, which is what all these cryptos and shitcoins miss out on. And then what he had to do was he had to let the network grow organically in order to dilute that central point of failure, to encourage other operations to come in and sustain the network. And the more operations that come in, the more secure the network is, because you dilute the central point of failure. Because initially, when Satoshi Nakamoto started mining, he was the only one. So you effectively have a central point of failure. So he had to let the network grow without any central point of influence, which is why he used a pseudonym, which was Satoshi Nakamoto. And being a Japanese pseudonym, Japan being highly advanced, technologically advanced, highly developed, and politically neutral, with also being an island nation with a large enough population and a language barrier that would probably allow his identity to remain a mystery, for long enough, for the network to undergo this process of commoditization. And he had planned for the Satoshi coins to be returned to him on the 1st of January 2020. So it wasn't safe, and the Satoshi coins, the 1.1 million coins, were Bitcoin's insurance policy, because he knew that while he was away, effectively kind of like letting the network grow organically, the cabal would probably, come in and try to disrupt the growth of Bitcoin and spin the narrative and create an alternative protocol, which they did. And he was then going to use the economic power of the Satoshi coins to just simply flip the value, of any cabal created shitcoin back into the original protocol, and that would have been job done. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to explain what the elements of commoditization are. So first of all, you have to have a competitive network, because without competition, you simply get collusion and centralization. Competition is absolutely essential, and that consensus mechanism, in a digital sense, is called proof of work. So any digital token that doesn't run on a proof of work consensus mechanism is centrally controlled. There's no other way. It has to be economically competitive. Secondly, there must be a chain of digital signatures, in order to create, effectively, a private association amongst the users of Bitcoin. Because if you have criminal network being facilitated, on a digital structured network, for want of a better word, then those operations who are maintaining the network are responsible for that criminal activity. So you have to move accountability and responsibility away from those who are fundamentally sustaining the network onto the network's users. And you do that by creating a chain of digital signatures, like a chain of command, so that Bob sends a transaction to Alice. Sends a transaction to Sally. Sally sends a transaction to James. James sends a transaction to Bob. Blah 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 blah. And if along that chain of command somewhere you recognize that a transaction was associated with either child trafficking, gun running, drug dealing, whatever, something like that, then the users of the network can chase the train of can track the chain of signatures back to the transaction that was associated with it, and find out who the living men and women are in the association who are engaging in activity that you want to stamp out. So every single attack on Bitcoin has been on the chain of digital signatures, because the moment you break that chain, you break accountability. And that means that someone somewhere can do something that nobody else knows about. And that's pretty much how you make a commoditized network. You have an economically competitive, globally distributed system with a chain of digital signatures. And then after that, you just simply have to make sure that there is unbounded scale, so that limitations and restrictions can't be manufactured and the network not be manipulated. You have to have a fixed token supply, which is the asset, so that nobody can inflate it or deflate it. And then you just have to make sure that those elements are locked. And that's it. And that's how Bitcoin was created. And it was Hal Finney that persuaded Satoshi Nakamoto to install a 1 megabyte block cap. I think it was I think it was like 2010. I think
2008.
it was.
Oh, 10. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was about 2000. Yeah, because the network started in 2009, and it was
I remember
about
all the
about
forum
2010.
posts. 2008, he started posting, wasn't it? He's talking to Gavin Anderson. 2008, we were following it. And then
Yeah, yeah.
2009, he started it. Yeah, I started mining soon after that.
Oh,
Can I
all right.
ask you something about the so you got money and you got currency.
Mhm.
Now, lots of things have been used as currency, like you say, commodities, salt, tobacco, seashells, loads of things have been used as currency.
Well,
Iron,
they're
copper.
money. That's actually
Well,
money.
I no, that's currency.
What,
That
salt is not currency.
salt is currency. It
Salt is
is.
not issued by a central authority.
Well,
Salt
I'll
is
tell
mined
you
from the
the
ground.
definition of money. It has to be all those things. It has to be tangible, fungible, unit of exchange, unit of account, medium of exchange, and it has to be a long-term store of value. And it has to be durable. Salt is not durable. If you had all your life savings in salt in your cellar and it was flooded, it's not durable. But gold and silver, if the cellar was flooded, money has to be durable and has to be tangible. So salt is not money; it's a currency.
It's
Tobacco
not
is a
currency.
currency.
Currency is issued. Salt is not man-made. Salt is a commodity. It's
It doesn't
extracted
have to
from the
be
ground.
man-made. Well, we'll have to disagree on that. But I think all those things and digital tokens, they are currency. And I think only two things have been money. And I know a lot of experts say, Mike Maloney, Mike Maloney stuff, he says it's only gold and silver that have been money. over. They have all these things that currency has: fungible, tangible, unit of account, medium of exchange, durable, and at the bottom it has to have long-term store of value. It has to have thousands of years that it can't go to nothing or almost nothing. Seashells, salt, tobacco, they do go to almost nothing, don't they? They're not durable over thousands of years, but gold and silver do hold their value for thousands of years. And I think all those things are currency. That's the difference between currency and money. Only two things have ever been money. Copper is currency. Copper is it's a monetary metal, but it's a monetary base metal. Whereas gold and silver are monetary precious metals. You've got palladium, platinum. They're not monetary precious metals. They're precious metals, but they haven't got thousands of years history being used as money. So I feel gold and silver can never go to nothing or almost nothing. Because if they get too cheap, someone could just buy all of it. But all the other forms of currency, it does go to almost nothing. Seashells go to almost nothing. Salt, tobacco, tally sticks. Loads of things have been used as currency, hasn't it, over the years? And I think modern times digital tokens, I call them digital illusions of wealth. I think they're currency and they will go to their true value, which is nothing in the end.
Yeah, but it's like this. If something is useful, it's valuable. If something is
Yeah,
useless, it's worthless. So
yeah, yeah.
gold and silver, for example, they have two values right now. They have their speculative value, which is where people are buying it for no other reason other than they think that they are going to be used to back the value of a currency at some point. They're buying
I don't think
gold, saying,
anyone's
"Oh,
buying it
they're."
for that. I don't think anyone's buying it for that reason.
I'd say
It is money.
there are loads of people buying
I
gold, thinking that it's going to be used to back bricks or a new currency
No,
that's
I
going to
don't
come
think anyone's
along.
buying it purely for that reason. I think they're buying it because it is money and it's also used in the industry as well. It's got two uses.
If I
I
can
don't
just,
think anyone's buying it.
if
Go
I
ahead.
yeah, if I could just pipe in, I mean, I basically I bought silver. Me and my brother bought some silver a couple of years ago, and it was mainly to get the money out of the bank because I was worried about bank bailing, all that sort of stuff. But also, probably similar to Dave, when everything crashes down, at least we've got something that we
Tangible.
that we can use. But just to go back to what you were saying about the whole salt shells, all that kind of thing, and you obviously disagree on that. I'm sort of more with Tom on this one because I am no expert whatsoever. Let me just say that. This is just my feeling. It's what value you put on it, and because gold and silver, I mean, yeah, at one point that was discovered a long, long time ago, and then somebody decided that this bit of metal and this bit of metal was worth something, and that's continued over a long, long time. And so what makes that any better than copper or palladium or anything else, or salt, like Tom says, as it comes out of the ground and it's a natural resource? And it's very useful to trade in salt because, as we know, salt is bloody good for you. Not like they told us about 20 odd years ago, everybody stop eating salt. So, and it used to be one of the most valuable commodities going, didn't it? It used to be really expensive. So yeah, I just wanted to
It's
throw
not rare, is it? Yeah,
that.
you're right. But it's not rare. It's not rare. We can all go and there's so much salt in the ocean. Two-thirds of the planet is salt water. So it's not rare. If salt became very, very valuable, we could all go and get a lot of salt. It's not rare, but this is rare and it's hard to get. It's all about supply and demand. How much is in supply and how much is in demand? And if there's a huge demand for salt, we'd all go and get salt from the ocean. But I think salt is currency. That is, in prisons they use cigarettes as currency. It's not money.
Yeah, but currency is a circulating security. There's only four things that circulate within an economy, nothing else. You have goods, services, securities, and commodities. So everything has to come under one of those headings. And commodities are things that have no human barrier to entry. So they are only ever extracted or grown. Currencies are created, they're issued, and they represent, the your secured entitlement to the gold or the silver or the salt. Or I mean, that's what the SEC is there for, the Securities and Exchange Commission. And one of the things they're meant to do is make sure that nobody is committing securities fraud. And securities fraud is when you're selling a ticket, a token, a wristband, a certificate, or something like that, that actually doesn't secure your entitlement to anything,
They're all
which is
criminals,
what
aren't
the
they,
which
Tom?
is
Yeah,
yeah, which is what the banks
the
are doing.
SEC. Yeah, It's a revolving door between the criminals and the police who are policing the criminals. The SEC are all criminals as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
all corrupt.
Well, you know what
Yeah.
happened? Actually, what it was their coup d'état of the US government was foiled by Sergeant Major Smedley Darlington Butler
Yeah.
in 1933, because this is why they had uh, the the ceremony at Soldiers Field. If you type in 1933, um, like I think it's either like a Zionist or a Jewish celebration. In 1933 at Chicago in Soldiers Field, they were celebrating the fact they'd just stolen all the gold off everybody in America
Yeah.
with Executive Order 6102. So they'd stolen all the gold, then had this massive ceremony, worshipping their god Baal, and stuff like that. And then they were planning a coup d'état of the U.S. government, which was foiled by shortly by Major General Smedley Darlington Butler. But because he'd foiled their coup d'état of the U.S. government, that's when they decided to set up the Securities and Exchange Commission. So they had control of the fund. They basically set
Yeah.
up a regulator of the financial system, and they were like, okay, well, our coup d'état plot has failed, but we're going to regulate the financial system now. So we've still got you by the short and curlies. It's
You're absolutely
outrageous.
right. Yeah, it's outrageous. So we might disagree on the definitions between currency and money, but I go with Mike Maloney's. If you look at Mike Maloney, he makes a good case. Only gold and silver are money. Everything else used as medium of exchange is currency, including digital tokens these days. But getting back to this, can I tell you about my mining days, Tom?
Yeah,
My
sure.
brother was far more into it. My older brother, he's 5 years older than me, and he got into crypto mining when it was just a laptop, a very cheap laptop, and it used about as much electricity as keeping the laptop in standby mode. That's how much electricity it needed. About 18 months later, it doubled in two ways. It doubled in the computing power and the electricity requirement doubled. So we had a much more powerful laptop and it needed a lot of electricity, twice as much. 18 months later, it doubled again. Now you needed a desktop using twice as much electricity again. And then we got into it. You needed some money from me. I bought lots of graphics cards. It doubled again. The amount of electricity needed, the computing power, and we threw all the old stuff away. That was all discarded. All the silver that was in all those electrical connections, it's all on landfill now. It's uneconomic to retrieve until silver corrects true value. And then it doubled again, and we were buying all the very latest GFX graphics cards. I spent £3,000 on graphics cards, and all the power banks, the fans to keep it all cool. And it was a large setup. You couldn't keep it on the desk; it was stacked from the floor. And then it doubled again the power requirement from the point of view of computer hardware and the electricity. And our electricity bill was as much as like 10 houses. And then it doubled again, and it was out. I couldn't pay it. It wasn't economic to mine anymore. We stopped mining. I've still got a lot of that equipment in my shed. The wires, the fans, the power banks, the mobos, motherboards. So it's all going to end up on landfill. I've tried to sell it. No one wants it. And now it doubled again. A friend of mine, he carried on mining soon after that. And he got married. And his wife said to my wife, the only place we can talk is the kitchen. Because every room of his apartment was full up with graphics cards and hobos and fans keeping it all cool. His electricity bill was so high, the police thought he was a cannabis farm with all the lights and heaters and things. And they know he's a crypto miner. And then it doubled again. The power requirement and the hardware requirement doubled again. All of his equipment is now probably on landfill, thrown away. And now, of course, you need these big data centers, don't you, for crypto mining? And they used to be quite small, like as big as an Amazon warehouse, full up with computer parts. The requirements doubled again. All those computer parts are discarded on landfill. They need another load, more powerful ASIC miners. And the power requirements is more than like, it was about as much as a city. And then it doubled to as much as 2 cities. And it doubled to 4, 8, 60. And now it's like 64 cities. And I say that's unsustainable. It's just going to keep going up. All that equipment is going to be thrown away on landfill, and it's all got silver in it. And to produce the power needed for all the data centers and the crypto miners, there's not enough power being generated. They want to get away from coal, natural gas, and oil, to stop oil. They can't make enough solar panels, wind farms, or water turbines, and they can't make enough nuclear power stations to power all these data centers and crypto miners. I say it is unsustainable on every level. And it's very bad for the earth. It's damaging the earth. I think it's good to get over to solar. Solar is the best at the moment. I say solar is the best form of clean generating electricity, but don't put solar panels on good agricultural land. I think put solar panels on every roof of every building that wants to use electricity, You should have enough solar panels to support your energy needs, everyone. But China can't get the silver. It's 200,000 metric tons of silver for 1 terabyte sorry, 1 terawatt of solar panels. And China said they want to make 8 terawatts of solar panels. Last year, they could only make 0.6 of a terawatt because they can't get the silver. They're going direct to the silver mines now. And this is factual. You can look this up. And they're trying to buy silver ore, unrefined silver ore, shipping it back to China to refine it there. Because the LBMA has run out, London Market Association, there's shortages of silver. And that's just solar, nuclear power, all the new nuclear reactors that are being built, nuclear submarines, nuclear ships, they need these control rods. 30,000 ounces of silver in each control rod. After 5 years, that goes on to landfill. So we've got a supply-demand deficit of electricity. I think just stop all digital illusions of wealth. Just stop proof-of-work mining. That doesn't do any good. We've got gold and silver. This has been money for thousands of years. Just stop all digital illusions of wealth, I think.
Yeah, all right. So just going back to what Mel was saying quickly about salt, what I would say is just as an aside, table salt is dangerous. So do not consume table salt because that's
good quality
purposely.
salt you want. Yeah, you want good
Yeah,
quality
yeah.
salt.
I think the table salt when they analyzed it, they found it was only a third of salt, and the rest of it was like glass and plastic and something like that. And it's the table salt that's causing the cholesterol to build up because it's basically ripping your arteries up on the inside. So that's really bad. But the other salt are really good, because it stores food and all that kind of stuff. Going back to the energy sources that you were talking about, Dave, you're only mentioning the energy sources that we know about. All the energy sources that we know about are an absolute effing joke because they're all centrally controlled, they're all really inefficient. What you want is the energy sources like tapping into the ether that this lot have done, down in Antarctica, where they've got this, energy weapon that caused the earthquake over in Auckland, in New Zealand and stuff like that. They're hiding energy sources from us. And we, rather than there being like one big national grid, we should all have these residential devices that power our homes from within our homes. I even know people now that have developed technology that literally probably about 2 foot by 2 foot, a little box like that, plug it into your plug it into your residential power supply, and it'll power your home just through a magnetic dynamo. So we should not be dependent on a national grid or anything because the moment you're dependent on something, this lot will just simply take control of it and they will screw you. Literally, they've got you by the short and curlies. But going back to what you were saying about money and Bitcoin, you need to commoditize the most useful resource. And in order to make an NFT token valuable, which is what Bitcoin is, you have to look at the network that it comes from. So if that token is extracted from a network that is globally distributed, economically competitive, with a chain of digital signatures, with unbounded scale, a fixed token supply, and a locked protocol, and you upload your own digital content to that network, that digital content belongs to you. You have sovereignty of it, and you can benefit from its global sale and distribution on a network that doesn't have any central point of control or failure. And that's massive because if you're uploading digital content, or let's say financial transactions, if you're Visa or Mastercard, or if you're an internet bank, or if you're any business that relies on digital data, like any tech industry, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Netflix, all these people, they have their entire business running on their own massive corporate servers. And they spend millions, if not billions of dollars maintaining and securing those corporate servers because they have a central point of failure, which means they're susceptible to cybersecurity hacks and virus software. Whereas now what you can do, you can upload your entire digital requirements onto the Bitcoin network for a cost of a micropayment. And whereas all the current digital networks struggle with the horizontal scaling problem, Bitcoin has now solved that with the Teranode implementation, meaning you can actually upload 10 to the power of 11 transactions per second with an unlimited amount of data. So all these, and remember, all these banks like HSBC, NatWest, Barclays, Halifax, Bank of Scotland, blah 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 blah. They have to record all of their digital transactions on multiple servers in multiple locations, just in
You're
case
right.
one of them.
5,000 terawatts. Some 5,000
Yeah.
terawatts they need every year. Yeah.
Oh, there you
But
go.
the
Yeah. And that
crypto
and that's
keeps on
probably
having to
each
say
one.
5,000. No,
Whereas
5,000
now,
total, they say. That's a lot, mate.
well, they can get rid of all of that, and that can all
Yeah, I
go on
agree.
the Bitcoin network. So
But
that
the
makes the
cryptos
Bitcoin
also
network more
need
efficient.
5,000 terawatts. Well, they also need 5,000 terawatts. I think 10,000 between the two of them. And I think you don't need either of them. Get rid of all of it, I think. 10,000 terawatts.
Yeah,
All
but
the solar
this is what
panels
I'm
around the
saying.
planet only amount to 2 terawatts. And the banking and the cryptos using 10,000 terawatts. I think that's damaging our Mother Earth. I think
Yeah, but you're just talking about the bank. You were just talking about banking here. I'm talking about
that's
the
half
entire.
of it.
I'm talking about the entire internet. The entire internet will be ported over onto the Bitcoin network because
And
the
how do
Bitcoin
you answer
network.
the question, right? If it keeps doubling, like it keeps doubling from a laptop to a desktop, and now we're at huge data centers, if it keeps doubling, it's unsustainable. Where's the electricity going to come from? Are you saying it's not unsustainable because there are these secret ways of generating electricity?
Can I
And
just
that's
say,
gonna,
can I just say something, Dave? And I've had this conversation with you sort of briefly, but about the whole solar and all the rest of it, which in my mind is a load of bollocks and it's like not sustainable. And you've got a load of hardware that gets landfilled and Christ knows what, and it's just awful. And it's not necessary because we know damn well that electricity or energy is free. It's free for all. But the way it's been monopolized, it's a massive industry that's kept us all at the behest of National Grid and all the rest of it. And then we've got these, Scottish Power and people like that are not supplying anything. They're just double dipping. They're just an invoicing
Yeah, the
company.
credit brokers.
Yeah, exactly. And I had a guy, Tom Palladino, on some months ago. I don't know if you managed to watch that one about scalar energy. Scalar energy comes from Tesla. We know Tesla, if this is all true, discovered free energy, and that's just one facet of it. There's lots of different ways you can get free energy. So this whole electricity doubling, okay, you might have had to double your hardware or triple your hardware, but in terms of the cost of the running of it, that's down to National Grid and the double dipping invoicing companies that have tripled your and quadrupled your costs. That's not the reality of things. Now that's just my gut feeling. That's just my inner knowing. I'm no expert. I've got nothing to back that up with other than things that I've discovered over the last few years. So I just wanted to put that out there as the layman's version.
no, you're right. It's the holy grail, isn't it? I know for decades they were saying, back in the 70s, we've discovered free electricity. There might well be some really good hidden technology. I wouldn't be surprised if there is. But why aren't they using them? Why is it
Well, it's
such an
obvious why
excellent?
they're not using them.
Yeah, money.
Oh no,
So assuming you're
it's
right,
not.
and there
It's not
is,
even money. It's not even money. Like
and
anything that they can't control us with, they don't want us to have.
and
That's it.
are
And,
you
and
saying
it's
that they will
nothing.
start using them? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying the only way we can actually start. Well, again, this is where they've got us by the short and curlies because they have a monopoly on the medium of exchange, which is the banks. So,
Yeah.
so again, what they've done is over the years they purposely orchestrated World War I to bring about the Balfour Declaration, which created the State of Israel, which is where they're going to expand their one world government from. And then once they'd done that, they then had to go about monopolizing, like Henry Kissinger said, who controls money controls the world. So then they set about stealing all the world's money. So they had to wait for the money to emerge, and the money that emerged was gold. So as soon as gold emerged, that's why they created World War II. World War II was
Gold
nothing
and
but a
silver.
manufactured gold heist. Yeah. So
Yeah.
they were supplying both
History
Hitler,
repeating. Yeah.
they were supplying both Hitler and the Allies with arms in exchange for the gold and silver. And when they had
And
enough,
all of Ford
because
trucks, wasn't it? I saw that.
yeah,
Yeah.
all that. And
Yeah.
it was Hitler that actually tried to stop the war in 1942, and he was just like, "Look, there's no need for this." And he actually wrote to Winston Churchill saying, "Look, I've got no issue with the British whatsoever. If anybody attacks the British, I'm more than willing to be on your side and and defend Britain from any enemies that you may have." I mean, what kind of enemy says I will help defend you? You know,
Absolutely.
it was so, but the whole
So,
point was the fact that they wanted the gold and they didn't
yeah,
have enough. So they were just like, no, this war has got to continue. And the moment they brought about the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944, they were like, right, that's what we wanted. So we'll just carry on the war for a few more months, so people don't get suspicious that this was the whole point of it. And then we'll finish the war in 1945, which is why it finished the following year. I mean, that's why the
absolutely
First
right.
World War finished in 1918 because the Balfour Declaration took place on the 2nd of November 1917. So the moment they got what they wanted, they finished the war. Same thing in World War II. The moment they got the Bretton Woods Agreement, they were like, right, we're now the world reserve currency. We're not competitive to any of the other world currencies, which means we can be as economically irresponsible and reckless as we like without any economic penalty. And
Sounds
then
like what you're saying there. It sounds like you're coming around to my side of the table, Tom. That's exactly what I'm saying. But can we get back to this? Are you saying the energy requirement keep doubling is sustainable because there's some kind of free energy technology they're going to bring in? Is that how you say it is sustainable? I say it's not sustainable to keep doubling. I think it goes an exponential curve, and you're going to need like 10,000 terawatts every like couple of months. I think that's unsustainable. Do you think there's secret technology that makes it is sustainable? Is that what your argument is?
Oh, well, what you're missing is the efficiency of the system. So BTC, for example, is absolutely unsustainable because the transactions just simply don't exist on the network because they purposely manufactured it and manipulated it so people can't use it. And the reason they don't want people to use it is because they want people to carry on using their dirty dollar and their filthy fiat. Whereas if you actually start looking at the transaction volume that Bitcoin is actually truly capable of, and the block fee that it can actually generate when you've got the entire world's transactions on the network, the efficiencies are there in order to make the expansion of these data centers continue.
You think it can keep continuing? Every couple of years, they throw the hardware away, get more powerful hardware, it keeps doubling, and the power requirements keep doubling, and you think that is sustainable?
Well, so long as the efficiency of the network is there in order to sustain the increase in the energy consumption. But yeah, there's also the advancement in technology and energy efficiency, and this lot have already got it, which is what they've hidden from us. And I've no doubt that when actually people start using a money that is outside of their control, meaning because whenever somebody says, "Oh, look, I've got this really fantastic, technology that generates free energy," all I need is the funding in order to back my business to get it going. The banks are just like, "No, we don't want that." It's the banks that have a stranglehold on the development of our species. Once we start using a money that is outside of their control, the development and technology will literally absolutely accelerate. But that goes against
Do
their
we want it
one
to
world
accelerate
government
up?
agenda.
This
Of
efficiency in
course we do.
technology, this is the problem, right? Like, take the PlayStation 1, right? It doubles every 18 months. So, PlayStation 2 is like four times the power of PlayStation 1. PlayStation 3 is like four times the power of PlayStation 2. PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 now is like four times more powerful than PlayStation. It keeps going like that. It's unsustainable. And all that hardware is being dumped into landfill. Look at the memory in our computers when we were young. It keeps doubling, keeps doubling. And they say, oh, it's getting more efficient. So all these data centers, they built this like a massive Amazon warehouse. Every couple of whatever, 18 months or 2 years, they rip out all that hardware. We've got more efficient hardware. We put this new one in now, uses twice as much electricity. Another couple of years, they rip it all out, all goes on landfill. We got more efficient, better processes. We put that in. I say that is unsustainable because it all needs silver. The higher the technology, the more silver it needs. And this is the point many people are missing when it comes to the hardware. You can't keep ripping out hardware, putting it on landfill, and making new hardware. It's using up the last of the silver. We've hit the wall now. The LBMA, London Bullion Market Association, has got like 300 million ounces left. It used to be 2 billion. It went down to 1 billion. It went down to half a billion. When they go down, there's no more computer parts being made, Tom. Do you realize that? The Bitcoin mining network cannot continue. All cryptos can't continue. The data centers can't continue. Silver is essential. So I say it's unsustainable to keep ripping out computer hardware, chucking it on landfill, and making new computer chips. It might sound
Yeah,
brilliant.
but
We've got a more powerful hardware, but where's the silver going to come from?
but what I'm saying is you're currently looking at the resources that are available to us. What I'm saying is when you look at, like, for example, the development of the transistor, people are saying that the increase in the efficiencies of transistors couldn't continue. It's still going. Absolutely, absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
massively. And
And is
when
that a
when
good thing to throw the old ones away and keep making new ones? Wouldn't it be better to keep it for a long time?
Well, yeah, of course it would. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying is that the technology that we should be using, rather than this old, out of dated, using silver or whatever these materials are, what I'm saying is this lot have hidden all the technology from us. They are literally thousands of years advanced in terms of what we know. And like, did you know, for example, the ether used to be listed on the periodic table? But
Mhm.
again, Rockefeller came along, changed the education system, and quickly took the ether off the periodic table.
I know
So
you're right
people don't
about
even know
advanced
that that's there.
technologies. Yeah, there's so much advanced technologies, but I think you will find if you look into it, the more advanced it gets, the more silver it needs. All these advanced technologies. There was this one atomic engineer. He signed the Official Secrets Act, but he came out and told us that the things they're doing with silver now, the advanced technology, because silver is the most electrically conductive element on the periodic table. It's also the most thermally conductive element, and it's also the most acoustically conductive. All these scalar weapons, Bluetooth, 5G, 6G, all these scalar weapons, I call them weapons, they need a lot of silver. And it's the most antibacterial, antiviral, antimicrobial, and it's the best conductor of light, the best light reflector. All these laser weapons, they got these weapons they can fire into crowds now to disperse them. They all use silver. So I think you'll find the more advanced technology gets, the more silver they need. That's why this is everything we're talking about. It's all to do with silver. And I think it's unsustainable to keep ripping out hardware, putting it on landfill, and keep making new technology more. I know the technology is getting better, and we can say for certain next year there'll be even better computer hardware. In 5 years' time, it'll be much more advanced, more. And I think that's the same with cryptos, all digital illusions of wealth. There's always a better one, isn't there? There'll be a new one next year
No,
that's better.
no, you're wrong.
There is. There's always
You're
because
no,
if
you're
you take
wrong.
a really good one,
Data
I'll
can
take
only be commoditized one way. There will only be one digital
I'll
commodity.
tell you my point and then see what you think. So, say someone comes out with this new technology like Theta. You know about Theta? It's the most incredible technology. It can use any computer hardware or any modem around the world, any bandwidth, and it can share it all. It's amazing technology, right? Now, someone next year could come out, take that same code. I like this technology, make it a little bit better. I've got Theta 2 now. And the year after that, oh, I've got Theta 3. And then someone else can take that. Because I tell you what, Tom, I like blockchain and I like Hashgraph. I like these. These are amazing gifts to humanity, but they are free and they are open source. And that's the thing about Linux, open source. Anyone can use it, it's free, and anyone can make it better. And there'll always be a better one in the future. And if you come along with this better one, someone could take that, it's open source and it's free, and they can change and make it even more efficient, make it even more better. And I think there'll always be, it takes about 45 minutes to make a new crypto coin, and it will be
Yeah, but
better
this
than the
is
one before.
this is what I'm saying. People have to understand how to commoditize data. Like what when you're saying, oh yeah, there will always be a better one. To me, it sounds like, oh, there's going to be a better gold in the future. Oh, there's going to be
It
a
can't
better
be.
silver in the future.
No, there's only
Well,
one. There's only one element on the periodic
that
table.
is what I'm saying. Data can only be commoditized one way. There will only be one digital commodity.
But there'll always be better ones. Do you know what Theta is? I think Theta is incredible technology. I mean, there will be one even better than that.
Theta is
My
not
theory about
Theta
Theta
is
is
not a commodity.
it's an incredible technology, and I feel it
But
was
it's not a
made by AI.
commodity.
Do you know what it can do? It can share everybody's computer, any kind of computer hardware, your phone, your desktop, your laptop, or military computers. It can share part of that power to add to the AI brain or the AI mind, I call it, and make AI more powerful. So sometimes people get slowed down on their computer and you wonder why. Well, Theta might be using part of your computer power and part of your bandwidth on your modem, your fast internet connection. A lot of businesses say, why am I getting such a slow internet connection? AI, Theta, is using that all around the world, including all the Bitcoin miners, including all the data centers. Theta can use all this combined computer power. On the one hand, it's incredible, very clever, but I think this is unsustainable. We don't need it. Humanity don't need this. We've been
Yeah,
right
but
for
Theta is
thousands of
just
years
a
without it.
software. Theta is just a software implementation.
And I think it was made by AI.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is any software implementation can run on the Bitcoin network. The
I think we
Bitcoin
don't need that.
network, the Bitcoin network is the foundation layer of all future digital technologies, secured and underpinned by economic principles. That's what it is.
And there'll
So
always be a
every,
better one, won't there? There'll always be one a bit better. As
well,
as you
not
said,
not in
hardware
terms of
gets
the
better.
foundation.
Well, hardware gets better and software gets better. There'll always be a better one. In 5 years' time, we'll be way more advanced than we are now.
Yeah, but this is what I'm
Another
trying to say. The
10 years' time.
protocol cannot change because you can only commoditize data one way. You can build all digital, open source or softwares on top of it, but the structure, the protocol can only be commoditized one way. There's no other way that it can be done. All these other digital implementations and software developments, they will all be built on top of Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin that's the digital foundation that doesn't have any central point of control or failure, and that's why it has to be. That's why it has to have unbounded scale.
Well, I love blockchain. Blockchain is a brilliant gift to humanity, and Hashgraph, which is I think better than blockchain. But all these any online ledger, as long as it's free and it's open source and we can use it, but don't put virtual tokens on there and say they're worth something. It's worth this much silver because it's not. It's free and it's open source.
Yeah, but the value is derived from the economic forces of supply and demand. So, like I said, if something is useful, it's valuable. You buy Bitcoin in order to access the network. So, if you want to upload something like Theta or Hashgraph onto the Bitcoin network, you would just simply do that by using Bitcoin. You use
They
Bitcoin to
work
pay for the
separately.
upload of your
Yeah,
software.
yeah, but they work separate. Hashgraph, I think, is better than blockchain. Doesn't use so much electricity. There are ways of putting a digital, silver gram onto an online ledger. And if you want to buy something from China, the silver gram that's in the vault will change ownership from the buyer to the seller. And you can order this thing from a long way away and they can take the silver out. But as long as it's honest, as long as it is backed by something real, not virtual, I
Yeah, but
think
this is what
the
I'm saying.
best one.
This is the difference between a commodity and a security. If you just simply create a digital token, then you've created that digital token. And that because you've created it, it has no market value whatsoever. It has no common value because someone
Agreed.
created it.
Yeah,
However,
agreed.
if that token is extracted from a globally distributed, economically competitive server network with a chain of digital signatures, meaning there is common accountability to all the users, and that token is what allows you access to the network, that is what gives it value. And when people realize what you can actually use the network for, which is for all of your digital content. So, for example, we're talking on Zoom right now. In the future, we will be broadcasting and talking and communicating over the Bitcoin network, which means we own and control the digital content that we're creating. Because at the moment, this is going on the Zoom servers, and the Zoom own and control this content that we're creating. Whereas I don't want that. I want to own and control all the digital content that I create, and that's what you use the Bitcoin network for. And as more and more people use it, it becomes more and more efficient because the supply of the token that you use is fixed, which means it goes up and up in value. And the way you encourage and incentivize more people to use the network is by making it cheaper and cheaper to use. That's the whole point. The whole point of Bitcoin is to add value to the network by adding utility, making it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper to increase the value of the token.
And that's why so many people come out with a better. Well, listen, my one's better, it's cheaper, it's more efficient, better. And next year there'll be another one even better than that. And if they really have made one that's better than the last one, someone could take that code, tweak it a little bit. This is a new one, even better again. And next year another one. There'll always be a better one. There'll always be better hardware and always be better software. It will keep progressing. But as you
Well,
said, silver and gold, you
I'll
can't
just
get
say this
silver
one
number two.
more time.
Yeah,
Data can only be commoditized one way. There
absolutely. I
will
agree.
only be one digital commodity. So when you're saying, oh, there's
Yeah.
going to be another one, there's going to be a better one and a better one, no, there
There's
can't be.
always new systems. For what you're talking about, there'll be a new system that is better than what you're talking about. And in 5 years' time, there'll be another new one, even better than that. There will always be a new system. A new
Well,
system.
we can agree to disagree on that. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think there'll always be better software.
yeah, I
But can I say, I think the best form of unit of account and medium exchange is silver and gold. I like these 1 gram bars. You break that off and you can just spend 2 or 3 grams for hand to hand local transactions. And if you want to buy some far away, it is good to have a digital version of silver as long as it's honest, as long as you can take your digital tokens and get out real grams of silver. I don't like
Well,
virtual tokens.
the only way that you can ensure that you have a digital token that actually truly represents, secures your entitlement to silver is by making sure that that runs on the Bitcoin network, so that
Now, there's loads
so
of
that
better
that
ways.
digital token cannot be cracked, hacked, altered, changed, or deleted. It's the
There's
only
better
way.
there's better systems now. There's Glint, and Glint is there's quite a few. There's another one in Singapore come out now, and it's far better than the old Bitcoin. And it's a way to digitally send and receive silver. And I think always take your real silver out of the vault. Once, if you sold something for silver, go and get the real silver out. Glint is a good one, but there's new ones in the works that will be even better than Glint, and they don't need Bitcoin. It's decentralized, but it's never as good, is it? Because any kind of digital transaction is not private. It is a record of it if it's on the digital network, on on an online ledger, and it can be seen. It's not private, and there's always third-party trust, isn't there? There's no third-party trust for this. If I buy some eggs and milk off a farmer and hand this over, I don't have to trust the third party. He gets the silver, he tests the silver, makes sure it's real. There's no way to hold any digital token without trusting a third party with them. You can't do it.
Well, yeah, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Bitcoin is. Bitcoin takes the third party out of the equation because it's a common network. There's no central point of control or failure with Bitcoin.
I'd like to respectfully challenge you on that. I don't think there's any way you can buy and hold Bitcoin without trusting a third party. Do you think there is a way to do that?
Yeah, of course there is. It's just on the Bitcoin ledger in a non-custodial wallet.
You have to trust the people who made the wallet. That's a third party. You have to trust them.
No, you don't, because it's non-custodial. It's a non-custodial wallet.
You have to trust a third party. Maybe you can trust them, but you have to trust the people who made the wallet. And where do you buy? How can you buy Bitcoin and store Bitcoin without trusting a third party?
You have it in a non-custodial wallet.
And you have to trust the people who made the wallet.
It's a non-custodial wallet.
Tom, can you explain what that is for the layperson? Because I can see what Dave's saying. We've still got to use different wallets and different accounts to try and transfer the money and go and buy the Bitcoin and all the rest of it. So we're still relying on other people. But what is so good about non-custodial?
So a custodial wallet like Coinbase, for example, when you hold your Bitcoin on Coinbase, Coinbase have complete control of your Bitcoin because they are a custodial service. However, a non-custodial service is a software that has been created by the developer that the developer does not have control of. And so therefore, what you're given is 12 words, and you're given 12
private
words,
key.
and you give a private key, and you're giving a pathway as well. And so if that wallet provider was to go offline or disappear or something like that, what you can just simply do is go to either another wallet provider, or you can actually create your own wallet using those 12-word seed phrase and just recover your Bitcoin that way. So therefore, you're not dependent on the wallet provider.
You do have to trust that third party. I'm not saying you can't trust them. I'm just making the point.
Well, who's the third party if I'm creating my own wallet?
You can't create your own wallet. You have to go to a wallet.
Well, how do developers create their wallets then if I can't create my own?
Are you saying you could make a Bitcoin wallet generator?
I could create my own wallet if I wanted to.
I've created my own wallets many times, and I can tell you, you have to trust a third party because I've lost crypto. I thought you could trust them, and you can't.
You can't lose crypto because it's you can't take it off the ledger.
My wallet was emptied. And this is happening 2 times a week to people.
Well, that can only happen if somebody has your private key.
Well, this is the question. I still haven't got an answer how my wallet was emptied. And this is happening 2 times a week. If you look on the forum, someone says, I never put my private key online. I had to trust the person I made the wallet with.
Yeah, but what network was this on?
Litecoin.
Well, there you go.
209 Litecoin.
Well, all these shitcoins are centrally controlled. BTC, BCH, Litecoin, all these cryptos, they're centrally controlled. This is what I'm saying. Data can only be commoditized one way. And that way is the Bitcoin protocol that the cabal have then stolen the ticker symbol of and turned it into a shitcoin and blah 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 blah. This is what I'm trying to explain. The only protocol where they can't steal stuff is on Bitcoin. And Bitcoin has just simply got the ticker symbol BSV now due to all the political shenanigans that they've orchestrated.
But can we just clarify, you can't store Bitcoin any way without trusting a third party?
Yes, you can.
How? Tell me how.
Because you're storing it on a network that doesn't have any central point of authority, control, or failure.
You have to trust the network. You have to trust. If you store it on a paper wallet or a Trezor, you have to trust Trezor, or a NanoS, you have to trust NanoS. You have to trust a third party. I'm not saying that you can't trust those third parties. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I don't know. But you do have to trust a third party.
Not if you hold it in a non-custodial wallet.
I'm talking about non-custodial wallets. A Trezor Nano S, they are non-custodial. A paper wallet, you print out your own paper wallet offline. That is a non-custodial wallet. You have to trust the people who designed that and made that. It's a third party. There's no way you can store crypto without trusting a third party. Now, maybe you can trust them. I don't know. I thought I could trust them, and I lost a lot of money, and it wasn't all mine. I lost other people's money as well. So that's why it's a warning to everyone. I think there is no way to hold crypto without trusting a third party. All these non-custodial wallets, you have to trust them. Do you trust them? It's obvious you wouldn't buy a Nano S or a Trezor wallet from eBay, would you? And they say it's never been opened, it's brand new. You wouldn't trust them. You put crypto on there, they could empty your wallet. But it's a third party. If you bought it from the official people who make it, and it's never touched, it's never been opened, and can I trust them? Maybe you can, but you do have to trust a third party with non-custodial wallets.
Well, the issue with, I know people that have bought brand new Ledger wallets from Ledger and they've
Yeah.
still been hacked because it's hardware that isn't safe. That's why they always recommend either buy a random phone or a second-hand phone, do a factory reset on it to get rid of like any malware that might be on it whatsoever. Download a non-custodial wallet, write down your private key, and nobody can no one.
Party. You have to trust the people who made the phone. Look at Israel. They sent all those radios over there, pages that blew up and killed so many people. You have to trust the third party,
Yeah, but if your phone gets hacked, you've got the private key to put on another one.
Well, you have to trust the third party.
They cannot take your Bitcoin unless they've got your private key.
Well, this is the thing. Imagine there was a way to not trust a third party. These computers now, the advanced AI, whether these quantum computers exist or not, or whether it's not quite a quantum computer technically, but almost quantum computers, they can hack any private key. They can try a billion attempts every second until they get, it's anti-fragile. The AI hacking is anti-fragile. It learns, it gets better and better and better. So maybe I had a non-custodial wallet that I thought I could trust. It was empty. It was all gone in one go. It went to 4 wallets, and then it went from loads of it. And I'm trying to find out what happened. I'm trying to get, how they got my private key. And someone said to me, it probably was one of these supercomputers, AI. They can hack any private key now. No crypto is safe from the point of view, you can't trust the third party, however you're storing it. You definitely can't trust the exchanges, as you said, and you can't trust a non-custodial wallet, and you can't trust these supercomputers now can break any private key.
Yeah, but they can only hack your private key if you've exposed it. And
Mine was never exposed, never.
Yeah, well, it has to have been in order for you to send and receive stuff, because that's the only time you expose your private key. It was a brand new
Virgin wallet. It was a Virgin wallet. The public key was online. The private key was never. I generated it myself, moving the cursor, and that was on an offline laptop that never went online ever again.
You generated your own private key?
Yep.
Well, that was a mistake.
Offline.
So what I would say is also, in order to be prudent with Bitcoin, what you'd do is you would have a retail wallet that's only got a very small amount in there, say like £200 or £300, because when you are transacting with a retail vendor, the only time that your public and private keys are exposed is during that transaction. So yeah, but this is what I'm saying. You only have a wallet for retail spending. So and that wallet has only got like £300 in it. So the maximum they could ever take is £300. So you have to be prudent with how you're using these wallets. Don't have all your coins in one wallet and only use one for retail. So that you don't expose your private key.
I think it's so dangerous now. With the advent of the advanced AI can hack any private key. Some people buy this really incredible safe wallet, non-custodial wallet. This is safe. They bury it, they keep it in a safe, a very expensive, thick steel safe. And then AI can just take all the crypto out of your wallet. They can hack any private key now. I think any digital illusions of wealth are not safe. And I don't know about you, Tom, but what I see coming now, we know that the central bank systems are unsustainable, isn't it? And it will not be sustained. And I think we're going to see chaos now. The next 5 years, from 2025 to 2030, there's going to be all kinds of false flag attacks and black swan events, and there's going to be all kinds of chaos to hide the fact that the current system is unsustainable. I think it could be war, it could be more pandemics, it could be all kinds of terrorist attacks, climate nonsense, lies, So it's going to be chaos, I think, as they try and hide the fact that the current system is unsustainable. It will not be sustained. They want to, they want a soft landing and smooth transition. So as the old system dies, they want a new system of digital illusions of wealth. They want CBDCs, and it's going to be chaos. I don't see, when the dollar dies, the pound, the euro, the yen, when they die and they're not worth anything anymore, it's not going to be smooth. They want to have this new in Britain. They call it Bitcoin, don't they? Without the R. It's not. It's Bitcoin, not Bitcoin. BR. They want CBDCs, and they want to give you a universal basic income. They're going to give you like 200 units every week if you go along with the program, and then the pound will go away, and they want to go to this new system. And I think it's going to be chaos. It won't be smooth transition. There'll be no faith in that. And I think there's going to be intermittent internet and intermittent electricity because supply demand fundamentals of power usage on a global scale, the whole world, there's more demand for electricity than there is supply. There's going to be rolling blackouts, rolling power cuts. And that's why I think real silver, tangible wealth in your hand is better than any digital illusions of wealth.
Yeah, but again, commodities are only worth what somebody else is willing to pay for it. It's the medium of exchange that is the important part because if you haven't got anything to pay for gold and silver, then it's worth
gold and
nothing.
silver is the money. You go to a farmer and you say, "Can I do 12 hours worth of work?" And he'll pay you 1 gram of silver. 1 gram, one of these grams is 12 hours days labor, and then you can use that to pay for goods and services. Silver is the money, and the true value of silver for thousands of years. One of these grams is 12 hours days labor. That is the true value. But it'll probably overshoot on the correction now. We know it's manipulated. It's been pushed down. It's like a beach ball being pushed down underwater, the criminal manipulation. And when they lose control of it, the beach ball shoots up. The surface is 3.1 grams is 12 hours days labor. That's the true value for thousands of years. But the beach ball will come up out of the water for a little while. It'll probably go down to 1 gram. You can do a day's labor and then 1 gram of silver. And then it'll settle back down to 3.1 grams. A tenth of an ounce is 31.1 grams in an ounce. And a tenth of an ounce has always been 12-hour days labor.
Right, I'm going to pipe up here. So just to speak to what you just said, Dave, about chaos over the next 5 years or so, I am coming at this from a much more spiritual viewpoint. And we've seen chaos over the last few years. The chaos will continue this year for sure. But I am ever optimistic and hopeful and have a knowing that is, they're not going to win. They're not going to get to their 2030. The CBDCs are not going to take over. They're going to try their bloody hardest because they're not going down without a fight. And obviously we know the corruption is massive. So I do think we're going to see a load more shit this year. But I think towards the back end of the year, I think we're going to start to see a lot more light. And we'll soon find out whether Trump's a goodie or a baddie, I guess, at some point this year. And then in terms of what you're saying about the silver, I agree with Tom. The medium of exchange is the most important thing because, I can go and give silver to a farmer. However, if he can't then go and use that to buy his grain or whatever he needs to buy, then it's useless. So there has to be an acceptance. There has to be and this is what's already happening. We've got communities growing all over the world that are changing the landscape of how we do things. It's labor exchange, it's bartering in different ways, it's living off grid, it's creating these sustainable communities, which you're already part of, Dave. Obviously, you've got that fantastic One Planet in Wales. And so all of that is growing. And I think you've both given some very, very valid points. I think Tom is definitely more in the future and more in the knowledge of energy has been repressed for thousands of years, let's be honest. And so, and Dave, you're still coming at it from, well, solar is the cleanest and this, that, and the other, but it's not because there's a fucking load of landfills with a load of bloody batteries and shit in there. So it's not, and the whole climate nonsense is just another global spinner and another control, keep us in fear, and another way to try and lock us down if they get away with it. Climate control, what a load of crap. So I just think, for the benefit of the viewers and the listeners, I think you've both got some amazing points, and you're both right, largely in your viewpoint. But ultimately it comes down to where we are all at individually in our own journey and our own knowing and our own spiritual evolution and all of that as to what we feel and see is true for us right now. And the Bitcoin network that Tom talks about is an unknown entity for the majority of people, not for Tom. That's Tom's world, and he knows way more about all of that and the efficiencies than we could ever know right now. That might change in the future, but I think I just wanted to sort of put a bow in it, really, to say you're both right in lots of ways, and people listening and watching are going to be like, oh, that's a load of bollocks. Oh yeah, I agree with that. And and everybody's going to be at different levels, and it doesn't make anybody right or wrong. It just is what it is. So I would like to, and I want to thank you both for being so candid and open on this conversation. It's been enjoyable to watch, um, and I would like to round this off now with anything, and we'll start with Dave, and then we'll go to Tom. The last bit that you wanna share, before we bring this conversation to a close.
Oh, thank you, Mel. Thank you, Tom. My final thing is I think stack silver is the best way to protect yourself this side through to the other side of the collapse. It might be no electricity, might be no internet for a little while. It might be chaos. What to use as medium of exchange? Silver, I think, would be the best way to protect yourself. It's a silver shield to protect yourself, and it's a silver bullet against the corrupt men that are creating all these digital illusions of wealth. So thanks, Mel.
Thanks, Dave.
Oh yeah, yeah. Thanks, Mel. It's been great. Yeah, what I would say is, if you want to know how they're going to do things, they're literally going to do things in the same way they've been doing for thousands of years. So, for example, you want to know how this is going to happen. Well, it's already shaping up to be exactly the same thing. They purposely manufactured the Great Depression by manufacturing the Roaring Twenties, by stimulating the economy because they created the central bank. You had the Roaring Twenties, and then they rug pulled in 1929. And then in amongst all that chaos where people were losing their homes and blah 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 blah, they were just like, oh well, actually we've got a really good idea. What you need to do is hand all of your gold into the banks and start using the US dollar, and that's what's going to get us out of this mess. That's what they did. They purposely created World War One, to then create the Roaring Twenties, to then rug pull and just like, oh my God, it's the Great Depression. They decreased the amount of currency in circulation by 30%. I mean, no wonder the stock market crashed because nobody had any means to maintain these stock prices. And when the stock prices crashed, they obviously went in and cleaned up and bought everything. That's how they controlled America. But they caused that chaos in order to bring in Executive Order 6102. And if you look at what they did in 2020 to the M1 money stock, which is the circulating supply of US dollar, which is what I sent you, Mel, they printed $16 trillion in 6 months. 16 trillion. I mean, even when you actually look at it, when you have a computer simulated version of what $16 trillion actually looks like, it is absolutely ridiculous. They can't make it up. So they are definitely going to manufacture, and all you got to do is look at the amount of derivatives that these banks are holding that are literally going to cause absolutely economic devastation. I would say the only reason it hasn't happened yet is because if they do cause like an economic tsunami, people are going to be looking for alternatives and they will find Bitcoin. And so they cannot risk crashing the economy until they have got rid of BSV. And BSV is still going strong right now. That's why it hasn't happened yet. Because they cannot risk people finding an alternative that still exists. They have to get rid of it. And it's still here. So, and while BSV is still here, I very much doubt they're going to try anything crazy because they know that if people start using a medium of exchange that is outside of their control, they will lose control of everything because all legal and political influence stem from economic power. And I'll finish on that.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you,
you, Tom.
Tom. Yeah, well, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Tom. It's been an illuminating and enlightening conversation, and I know the viewers and the listeners are going to get a lot of value from this, as have I. So it just takes me to say thank you very much, guys, for your time today, and no doubt I will have you both back on at some point in the future. Thank you.
I look forward
Thanks,
to it.
Neil.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Tom. Take care.
Cheers. See you later.